John Apple Porter. I won't be calling him Uncle Apple, but that's who he was before doing probably one of the worst things that an uncle could do. What's up, everybody? It's your girl B Octavia, and I am back with another video. I hope that you're having a good day and you get through it fine. Now, if you are new here, I am from Washington, D.C. I am also an entrepreneur, a mother. A big shout out to those who have been supporting Be The Brand. I'm going to say that pretty much every video because y'all showing out, y'all showing y'all support, and I appreciate that. So if you want your Be The Brand before Christmas, you got to get your orders in soon. So with all of that being said, let's jump right into the video. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, where is John Apple Porter? Who is John Apple Porter? Where did he end up? Is he still in prison? Things like that. A lot of people want to know. A lot of people want to hear me speak on it. And I'm actually going to dig deeper than pretty much anybody has. As far as Apple goes, we will do a little brief recap of basically what he has done, his past, what he is actually in prison for, and how I feel about it. I do have a video on Uncle Apple that I will link in the description, but I believe that video wasn't that long, or I didn't really mention certain things that I'm going to mention in this video. And when I do the brief summary of what he did, some of you have heard it, some of you have not, but we are going to go back through it briefly, okay, just to get anybody caught up that don't know, because you never know. Like, think about it. I'm in a whole different generation. If it's somebody that's in my generation, they probably don't even know. They probably don't know the severity of it. It'd be good to hear a different perspective. We can agree to disagree over here, but the disrespect will not be tolerated, okay? Now let's get into the video. Today I will speak on Richard Porter's Uncle Apple. I won't be calling him Uncle Apple. I won't be calling him Uncle Nothing. You know, Uncle Apple nothing, okay? But that's who he was before doing probably one of the worst things you can do to family. One of the worst things that an uncle could do. Try extorting one nephew that's deep in the streets at the expense of the youngest nephew. So, first, what I want to say is, I feel like John Porter might have had a similar life to his eldest nephew around that same age, like the 20s. Around his 20s, selling whatever was hot at the time, chilling and having fun with your friends, experimenting with this drug or alcohol, as a lot of teenagers or young adults do. But some folks don't get out of the mindset of that. And then it's 15, 20 or so years later and you look up and you haven't accomplished much. You don't have much to your name. A lot of people's lives go like that. They have this socialite-like life, you know, in their teens and their early 20s, or even so on and so forth, that they don't build something for themselves. Or even if they was a small hustler, they stay a small hustler. Some small hustlers start to use the drugs that they were selling. And I think that that is exactly what happened to John Apple Porter. Watching his eldest nephew not only grind, but make a hell of a profit too. Some elders get jealous, they get envious. And unfortunately, that's what happened with John. While Lil Porter was walking to elementary school, Apple kidnapped him. We don't know, of course, how that went, but he's family. He probably persuaded his youngest nephew, you know, in a very cool and calm way, and he didn't know until, you know, they got to whatever spot that he was basically kidnapped, you know. I also want to reiterate that my stance, I don't believe Alpo had anything to do with this 12-year-old boy getting kidnapped, any ransom, or him being murdered and dumped like that. I honestly believe it would have went a lot smoother. Perhaps the 12-year-old wouldn't have lost his life, and I believe it would have happened a lot smoother with a person that can make a sound plan. One thing that we know about Alpo's past is that he was good at setting people up, the closest people to him. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't be nothing for a ransom kidnapping type of thing to go smooth if Alpo was a part of it. But let's move on. Alpo called the house a few times with demands for cash. After his eldest nephew, Rich, turned him down, he turned down the ransom. Nah, I'm not paying y'all nothing. He wanted to figure out who it was, you know. And they was asking for $500,000. They was asking for $500,000, okay? Everything fell apart after that. With Alpo in charge of this scenario, hearing that Rich rejected to pay, the junkie in him made him cut his young nephew's finger off. And when people say junkie, they saying it out of disrespect and things like that. I'm calling a spade, and that's exactly what he was. You know what I'm saying? And the way that the scenario went, you can't tell me that he wasn't a junkie, and I'm not supposed to call him a junkie. You know what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to say that that's what he was, because that's what he was. And that's exactly how a junkie would handle it. As soon as they get rejected, they going on a warpath. They gonna fuck up the plan every time. And then recorded him not only pleading for his life, pleading for his family to help him and for his family to pay them. And I believe, sadly, shortly after that, he bled out and died. I do believe that. It's no way that they was going to render aid. The preacher crew was not known for rendering aid. Ain't no nurses in the preacher crew. Ain't no reversing what they've done. But John Alpo Porter was in charge of this, and I believe that he was the one that cut his nephew's finger off. I do believe that. Even if it was somebody else, the fact that you are blood to this young boy, blood, and you can stand around while somebody else decides for his finger to be cut off and you don't oppose to that, it's your fault anyway. So however the fuck it went, his finger was cut off. And I put that on the uncle, because you shouldn't have kidnapped him in the first place. Bad plan, bad plan, bad plan, right? Rich Porter rejected paying the kidnappers that much. I think that he was trying to negotiate, but they stopped calling. And I believe they stopped calling because they knew that that boy was either dead or was going to die. And he also didn't want the police to be involved. After the family got the finger, they decided, went to the police station themselves, and it was over Rich's head at that point. He wanted to handle it, and I respect him for that. I respect Rich for wanting to handle it himself, him taking responsibility. You know, it's the life that he led that even made this a scenario. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be real, let's be real about it. And it probably was eating him up inside. I can't even imagine, regardless of the life that you choose, I can't imagine somebody taking my sibling like that. You know what I'm saying? And on top, I mean, it was just thing after thing. If it's not the phone calls, then it's the finger, and then it's no calls at all. And then there's no communication at all? Come on, man, because y'all know that y'all handled that bad. Rich Porter wanted to handle it, but unfortunately, he had not one but two huge targets on his back. And that's the craziest part of all. Rich Porter had this big plot against him, unfolding against him by his own uncle, Blood, to be extorted, and another huge target. For him to lose his life at the hands of a very close friend. A lot of people want to say Alpo and Rich wasn't best friends. If they was hanging together, if they knew certain things about each other that wouldn't nobody else know, if they was getting money together, they was close friends. You don't want to call it a best friend, don't call it that. But they was very close friends. Richard Porter was killed January 3rd, 1990. His body was found the next day. He had cash on him, a small amount compared to, you know. But neither here nor there. Little Porter was kidnapped early December. So like December, like either the 3rd or the 5th of December, 1989. I don't believe he was alive that whole month. You know what I'm saying? It's sad to say, but they wasn't going, come on now. I think that way before Rich got killed, his little brother was dead. I do believe that. And I would hope that he wasn't suffering that whole time. And that's really why I'm saying that. Because, you know, being around evil, you never want to suffer around evil. Because they're going to do it in a worse way. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't deserve that. So after Rich's body was found, what conclusion I came to was that it was maybe like a week or 2 weeks after that Little Porter was found in the vicinity of where Rich Porter was found. So I get people saying, you know, oh, this is not a coincidence. Maybe Alpo was involved with that too. But I think that was a setup. I think that Little Porter died shortly after his finger was cut, and the crew kept his body until they found the perfect dumping ground. Did they try framing Alpo for it? I do believe so. I mean, word on the street really early on was that Alpo was involved with getting Rich killed. People was talking about that pretty much instantly and giving them kind of dirty looks and stuff like that. So, you know, I think the crew took action and tried to frame Alpo for it. And it kind of worked, you know what I'm saying? Because people still to this day really do believe that he was involved. I don't think the family getting involved with the police got Little Porter killed. I don't believe that at all. I also don't blame Rich for rejecting such a high ransom because it could have been negotiated. Although straight up saying no isn't going to work in a negotiation. I don't know how the conversation went, right? But just rejecting the ransom altogether instead of, nah, y'all gonna have to come up with a better price than that, whoop-de-woo, that could have really kept the communication going and stopped anything drastic from happening, because like we seen, you never know who is actually involved in this. And in this, it's very sad because it's family. It's very sad because the uncle was a junkie, and junkies fuck up. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we just know in history. It was such a fast timeline, which it shouldn't have been. But when a junkie is involved, if they want some money, they want it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I could see him handling that just totally wrong. Fiending for whatever he fiending for, or fiending for cash. What do you expect? You know what I'm saying? What's not a part of the plan becomes a part of the plan when a junkie is involved. And it's a shame that that child, that baby, had to go through all of that pain. So much pain that he did not deserve. Literally, kidnapping Rich's younger brother was the only way to throw Rich off. That was literally the only way to throw him off.